up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is talking about anxiety on keto. There have been so many reports from people saying that when they start a low carb diet, a lot of people notice jitters and anxiety, and that was one of my biggest things to overcome. So this video is all about the way, it's one way, that I conquered it. And if you're interested in hearing about it, then please keep on watching. I'm sorry about the lighting. I'm in a parking garage right before my work shift starts, so it's pretty early. The sun is just starting to come out. Anyway, okay, let's move on to this anxiety video. So, a lot of people, there are so many reports out there that state people who start a low-carb diet or are on one, not so much keto yet, but low carb, when you're cutting sugars out of your diet, notice that their anxiety levels are somewhat heightened or elevated, or all of a sudden just appear in a person that never had it. So I was so interested in this topic because if you've watched some of my older videos, you will know that I did battle somewhat of an anxiety issue, and it was something that just came on all of a sudden out of nowhere when I started my, I guess, low carb journey, because before keto I was on Wonder Slim and Medifast, and that is when the anxiety in myself became apparent. So moving on to keto, after those things, my anxiety was really heightened, and what started to happen to me was I would get anxiety at work, which I thought was very strange. And because I see a lot of things that aren't so pleasant at work being a nurse, and my emotions, my anxiety, it never bothered me. If I have to go have a blood test, yes, I will pass out, but I could throw a line in you like no other. I can see trauma, I can deal with wounds, whatever. Nothing usually bothers me, but all of a sudden I started noticing that if I had a patient with a wound, or the room was hot and I was, you know, in a mask and whatnot, I would get anxiety, and I didn't know where it was coming from. So with all of that being said, I really started to look at things. I'm not a pill taker. I don't like medicine unless it's absolutely necessary. Yeah. So I was really trying to figure out a way to combat this anxiety without going the pharmaceutical route. I was online researching this and reading about people and things like that, and I really could not figure it out. You know, lack of sleep, hormones, all of those things come to play, but I cracked my problem. I figured it out, and I haven't had any anxiety, I'm gonna say, in almost a full year. Now, this is it's like a no-brainer here. Okay, so let me start by saying, when we are on keto lifestyle and we know we have to get our good fats in, one of the best ways to do it, especially when you're starting out, is to have bulletproof coffee. Okay, bulletproof coffee basically is you make yourself a hot cup of coffee, you add in some MCT oil or coconut oil, you add in some heavy cream, you add in maybe some stevia and some butter, you throw it in a blender, and you have this frothy, wonderful high-fat drink. I was doing that for quite some time, and then I would have, when I got to work, maybe another cup of coffee, but without all of the added stuff to it. And I would notice not that long after is when the anxiety would start. So I did do a past video on coconut oil and anxiety, because a lot of reports were saying that coconut oil brought out anxiety in people just because of the medium chain triglycerides, because you're cutting back on your carbohydrate intake, and it can almost cause a reaction in your body like fight or flight, like you're stimulated. And some people can actually feed into that, where you're not feeling right and then you start to get nervous. Okay, so what I did was I eliminated the coconut oil from my diet, and it was okay for a while, but I still noticed the anxiety. So lo and behold, I mean, like 2 years into this, the anxiety was getting bad. It was really getting bad, guys. You know, I'm very good at hiding it, but you can ask Jess, my husband. We would be like out in public, let's say, and I would have full-blown like agoraphobia. Like, I didn't want to be around anybody, and this is not me. I am the most bubbly people person you'll ever meet. I love to meet people and to talk to them. and I don't mind crowds and things like that. But it started to become that. Like Jess and I were in public places and I was getting like anxiety when there's people around. I just wanted to go home. Oh, and there's a spider. Hold on, because I don't like spiders. Hold on, guys. Get out of my truck. Hold on. I'm scooping him out. I'm not going to kill him because I love animals. And he's a little animal. So let's just scoop him out. Go, little spider. Okay. Got him. I don't think I'm going to edit that out. Okay. So, yeah. I just didn't want to be near crowds. And the anxiety with everything. You know, if I was stressed out about something, I would notice anxiety. This is not who Lori is. So I'm like, it has to be correlated to something going on in my diet. It has to be, because most of the time, whenever we have a side effect, a new thing happen, you have to look at the history. You know, like all of a sudden, if you have a rash, you got to look at to see whether or not you changed your detergent or new dryer sheets or, you know, something like that. So where was this anxiety coming from? My life is wonderful. I really don't have many stressors other than, you know, sometimes I don't sleep well, and I am in perimenopause. So, you know, was it all of that? I don't know. Lo and behold, I started to really write down, like a journal, when I would have these like anxiety attacks, what I was doing, what I did before, keyword, and I started to notice a pattern. Every single time I was getting this anxiety was after I had coffee. That has been my like lifeline for pretty much ever. I can't even remember when I started drinking coffee. So, I was your coffee girl. Love me some Starbies. Okay. So when I started noticing that, forget the coconut oil and everything like that. It was the coffee. So what I did was I decided right then and there, because I can tell you how many times I sat and cried over this situation. It is very scary and debilitating to have anxiety. And what happens is what happened to me was I became aware of places that I was having the anxiety, and then I was like, not on purpose, but I was avoiding those places. So for instance, if I had an anxiety attack in a patient's room, every time I had to go into that room, even if it was a month or two later and that patient wasn't even there, I would remember what happened, the feeling, the lightheadedness, excuse me, just the whole feeling. And I would work myself up again and get anxiety because I had to go into that room. It's such a vicious cycle, guys. If you don't have this, then bless you, because this is very difficult to deal with. But again, I noticed the coffee. So if you don't know this, caffeine is a stimulant. Most of us know that, but if you don't, it does work on your sympathetic nervous system, which heightens everything. It's like the fight or flight mode that we have within our body. And some people are just sensitive to caffeine. Again, this was never something that happened to me until I dropped my carbohydrate intake. So I thought that was kind of odd, and I was like researching the hell out of this. Excuse me one second. I became researching the hell out of this, because why a drop in carbohydrate and caffeine? What was the correlation? I really, truly couldn't find one, but I can honestly say I stopped drinking coffee cold turkey, or I should say caffeine, cold turkey. I only have decaf right now, and it's been that way for quite some time, and I haven't had one bit of anxiety. None. So, anything that has caffeine in it, I stay away from. You know, even cacao powder seems to, on occasion, heighten that sense for me. You know, it is chocolate. So I don't know, guys. All I can tell you is if you are low carbing it and you notice anxiety or you notice panic attacks and things like that, and you're having some bulletproof coffee during the day and you're having caffeinated coffee during the day, it might be the culprit. Also, the coconut oil, the MCT oil, they kind of have similar effects. I noticed for myself when I cooked with coconut oil, or when I do cook with coconut oil, I don't have that effect. If I use it raw, like if I spoon it out and eat it, or if I spoon it out and put it in my coffee, my decaf coffee, I can still get that effect. So it's just so strange, but this is my experience and I wanted to share it because I hope I can help just one person, because it's a horrible way to live, having this anxiety. But I am so blessed because I could tell you, I sat at my computer and cried my eyes out on more than one occasion. I was literally looking for support groups. I thought I was going lunatic. I can't believe I never correlated the caffeine with this, because it had never bothered me before. So I was like, it can't be the coffee. But until I started writing everything down, when I had a panic attack, what did I do right beforehand? There was always the cup of coffee, always. So I'm going to give you an example, and this is quite embarrassing. Last Halloween, right? We're in September now. Last October, some friends of ours and myself and my husband went to this great outdoor haunted house, and we were all excited to go. And on the way, we stopped at Starbucks and I got myself just a coffee. And yeah, guess what? It had caffeine in it. And when we got to the haunted house, I became so anxious that I wouldn't even go in the darn haunted house. Like, that is ridiculous. That's stuff I love to do. I had a full-blown anxiety attack. I was sweaty. I was lightheaded. I was hyperventilating. I was trying to hide it as best as I could. And when we got right up to the front to get in, I chickened out and I ran away. Like, seriously, that is ridiculous. So that was when I decided no more caffeine. That is not going to happen. And it has been almost a full year now without it and no anxiety. So I hope this video helps you guys out there. You know, when we cut out a lot of things from our diet, which keto is really restrictive, it really is. We're eliminating a lot of junk from our diet, which is good. But we're really, I don't know, I just think that caffeine heightens senses when you are not having a lot of processed foods, and I think that's a good thing. I think that our body, when we're in ketosis, has enough energy to burn through that we don't need the caffeine technically anymore. I think that a lot of you, I see comments that you have trouble sleeping at night and you're dependent on the magnesium supplements. And I don't think you need that. I just think you need to cut your caffeine out of your diet and you'll probably sleep a lot better and you won't have these symptoms. So anyway, I hope this video helps, but that's my story. We're at 12 minutes now. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna go take this phone call and get back to work, or get into work. It's so early. And yeah, I didn't have a cup of caffeinated coffee, but I always make my decaf coffee in the morning, and with my stevia and my heavy cream, and I bring it to work, driving and enjoying my coffee like I normally would, but there's no caffeine in it. So that's the scoop. Starbucks, by the way, makes K-Cups, and they are decaffeinated, and that is what I use. So when I go to Starbucks, I order decaf. There's nothing wrong with it. It tastes exactly the same. It just doesn't give you that bit of anxiety if you are prone to that, which I guess I am. So anyway, Scooby-Doo, I gotta get into work. I hope you all have a great day. Stay focused, and if you have any questions on this topic, I have done tons of research and I'm trying to keep the videos short. So if you have any questions or anything related to this topic, please leave the comments below and I will be more than happy to answer you. Okay? I'll see you in my next video, guys. Stay focused. I love you. Bye, guys.
I know